Right, now let's talk vehicle assembling, where the government should review and implement laws that will ensure it advances its current state to attract foreign investors by ensuring that they operate in an environment that is better than that of neighboring countries. This was an observation made during the launch of the first ever Matatu wagon assembled in Kenya with zero mileage and environmental friendly after a partnership between Asian motor manufacturer King Long and KB Auto. And this is very critical because we've been talking about export-led growth. That is one aspect, but those things that we cannot manufacture, can we make Kenya a hub of assembling? Because that also creates another value chain, which is very critical when it comes to matters to do with manufacturing. But let's swiftly move to matters innovation. The government has committed to accelerating the commercialization of research and innovation in the country. According to President William Ruto, the provision of incentives and the scaling up of funding in innovation will expand opportunities for the youth. The president was speaking during the official opening of the Kenya Innovation Week, noting that the goal is to promote the achievement of innovation, value creation, and competitive advantage. Jimmy Mbogo caught up with the Commonwealth Secretary General Patricia Scotland on the sideline of the Kenya Innovation Week with the Commonwealth edition, and now joins us with more. Good afternoon, Jimmy.
Well, thank you very much, and of course a very good afternoon to you too. Yes, as you rightfully said, this is the Kenya Innovation Week 2023, the Commonwealth edition that is happening here in Nairobi. Of course, it will be going on from the 27th all the way to December 1st, and we'll be looking at different ideas that are going to be flaunted here, just looking at issues that help to, of course, mitigate against climate change. But on the sidelines of these conversations, I'm joined this afternoon by the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, who is the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. But Patricia, thank you so much for making time to speak to KTN. And of course, one of the things that we want to get from you is, what do you expect out of this 1 week conference? Just what are some of the ideas that you expect to come out of it?
Well, we're really looking for solutions. You'll know that the world is facing quite a tangled knot of crises. We've been through climate change and we're still affected by it. Look at the trauma that's happening in Kenya today. So many lives have been lost, I think more than 70 people, and homes have been damaged as a result of flooding. Yeah. This we're seeing all over our Commonwealth, which is 56 countries, 1/3 of humanity, that's 2.5 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30. So we need solutions for climate. But look at what we experienced during the pandemic, the COVID-19. We need more solutions in terms of healthcare. And then look at what's happening as a result of the geopolitical strain we're under now. Yeah. What's happening in Russia and Ukraine, what's happening in the Middle East, which has put huge pressure on us all economically. It has meant that we have real difficulties in terms of food security. How are we going to make sure that all of us, all of our children, all of our grandchildren have that which they need? And we've got the Sustainable Development Goals that we have to deliver. Now, we know that many of the problems that we now face have been as a result of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. So human genius created that Industrial Revolution. Yeah. But today, we are affected by the consequence of that Industrial Revolution. So now we need a different revolution. And just as human genius created the problems, human genius has to create the solutions.
Now, when you look at Africa, which majority of those countries are Commonwealth members, one of the biggest problems they're grappling with is high youth unemployment.
Absolutely.
So how then do you see, or how can they foster these innovations to be able to create more jobs and to be able to even empower women?
Well, if you look at the launch of the Kenyan Innovation 10-year plan, it gives a very clear agenda, pathway from where we are now to where we want to be. But look at what we're doing in the Commonwealth. We're sort of creating a Commonwealth innovation ecosystem. The fact that we now have potential and possibilities that we didn't even have a year ago. Look at what has happened with AI and the opportunities that machine learning, the Internet of Things, all of these opportunities means we can do that which we would find more complex and difficult much more quickly. So the creation of the AI consortium, which is going to bridge, we hope, the gap between the developed north and the developing south. And so we now know that the trust Commonwealth countries have is the backcloth against which digital trade can thrive. We know for all of our countries, unemployment is a scourge for our young people. But we can't look at old jobs. We have to look at the new jobs. Think about all the jobs that never existed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago as a result of ChatGPT. All of that change means that we now have to look forward and say, what are the jobs of the 21st century? And we have to train our young people to take advantage of those jobs. The other thing is, in the past, you had to be an employee. Now, increasingly, young people aspire to be employer, the entrepreneurs. And look at who is becoming the most prolific creators, young people.
A lot of them will say we have bankable ideas, but when you put them to the test, the big question that a lot of investors then struggle with is, what is the financial aspect of it? How do we finance this idea? What is the return on this investment? How then do we bridge that gap between having an idea, an innovation, and also attracting funds, whether from the private sector or from the government or even from the Commonwealth?
Well, what we are doing, we've created innovation incubators. So look at what we're doing on the Blue Charter. We know that the blue economy is going to grow exponentially in the next 15, 20, 30 years. But we need to invest. So we created the Blue Charter incubator to take ideas, to test them out, to provide that seed corn money, and to see whether this element would fly. And we asked governments to come up with government ideas which could be extrapolated and to get better. And it was just an idea to test it to see if it will see. We got an enormous amount of applications, and we got more applications within the first quarter than we thought for the first year. I am going from here to go to COP28. The innovators and the enterprise and the businesses are saying to us, we have the money, but we don't have the bankable projects. So they're saying, find the bankable projects that we can fund. And the first 2 days at COP will be focusing on what business can do to fill that gap.
So how then do we ensure that the innovators then get the kind of funding that they need to be able to make an impact globally?
Well, I think we have to make the economic case for investment in innovation. And that economic case has absolutely been made if you look at the empirical data we now have. We know that the only way that we're going to be able to grow and grow sustainably is if we innovate. And we need to innovate on all levels. And this is now happening. I just gave you an example of the work we're doing in order to quantify how much carbon is absorbed by each tree. If we can go from guesstimate, which is what we have now, to an accurate, empirically based assessment as to how much carbon is sequestrated, that means we have the basis for a genuine carbon market, and we can have accuracy when it comes to carbon pricing.
That is the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland. Of course, there's some of the conversations that we expect to be going on not only here in the country but also during COP28. These are conversations that are expected to be front and center of those deliberations, and we'll be right here to tell you what happens after COP28. But for now, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jimmy Mbogo, for that conversation. We take a short break. When we come back, we delve into the world of film. The famous quote from Kenya is said that ni kama video, ni kama video, ni kama movie. Well, we'll be delving into that world and how to quantify its contribution to the economy. For now, we take the short break now. Stay tuned.